Hi, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of the Lumiere Startup Saturday. We are on episode 3, season 3 of the Startup Saturday, and my guest today is Arti Havaldar. Arti is an old friend, a senior from business school, and someone whose work I have followed right from the time she was selected at TAS. And thank you, Arti, for being here today so that we can, talk to a larger audience about your life work and what you're doing, especially now with MYNA.
Thank you, Deepa. Thank you for having me on the show.
So,
And
Arti, you did a very classical thing, your MBA, and then you worked for with TAS for 5 years. When did the thought of your first startup, your the company that was doing garment export,
that's right.
Karmatex, and which you've done for 32 years. So maybe you want to just contextualize your working for five
Sure.
years and then moving to do something of your own.
So, the first 5 years when I worked with the Tatas, it was a fabulous experience. It was really wonderful. I think there was great learning. There was a lot of travel, and I also met my husband in the journey. And we married. But the moment I had a child is when I decided to quit because I just could not give those kind of long hours. Simultaneously, while I was when I was pregnant, I started helping my brother who was trying to get into garments as a business, into fabrics and garments. And I just so enjoyed helping him that I said, this is what I think I want to do. And I know I can have easier, or I'll say more flexible timings, more than easier. And so be able to manage a family life along with work. So um, I think the startup just happened to me. That's why we called it Karmatex, because it was in my karma. I thought that I should get into. I had nothing to do with textiles before that. I was, into marketing, finance, and definitely not into producing and manufacturing garments. So definitely this is something that happened, and we took it forward. Let me put it that way.
And then comes a time in your life after doing this successfully for 32 years when you decide to pivot and have a
Absolutely.
new startup, which is
Absolutely.
again very, very different. So, do you remember that day you thought that you know what, I'm going to do something different? Enough of Karma Tex.
Yes. I'd always decided that I would retire at 60. I had a childhood dream that I would become a music teacher.
Oh,
Okay. And it's been there since, and it was always with the idea of going and teaching, doing an outreach kind of a program, which is very much on the cards, even for MYNA. And so when I learned music, I would keep telling my teachers, teach me how to teach as well, because I want to become a teacher finally. But one just gets caught up in your work, and that was also fun because we were doing well, it was growing, there was lots happening with the kids, that I kind of pushed it aside. But when at 60 I decided to retire from work and say, okay, I think I've worked hard enough and earned enough, and I just want to move into a sector which is my passion, and I must fulfill this dream of mine of becoming a teacher, and also of spreading music and happiness through music. That's how MYNA. So when we shut the office, MYNA wasn't really the idea. I really thought I'd do something like freelance and teach and stuff like that. But when we actually shut the business and I was sitting in the office, I'm like, I have this space. Why don't I just start an academy? And that's how it happened.
so you started the business with your brother.
Yes.
When you broke the news to him that you are quitting Karma Tex, what happened? Can you share?
It fortunately came as a joint decision.
Wow.
My brother was ready to move on too. So when the moment I mentioned that, listen, I'd like to quit, and I know we are doing really well, but I want to move on to the next phase of my life. He was like, I was just waiting for you to tell me that. I want to do it too, because none of our kids were interested in taking it forward. Both of us felt that we had so many interests. So it actually, I'm telling you, the universe made it happen. I truly believe in that, that it was meant to happen.
So, how long did this process of d- coming down, you had customers, you did a lot of work in South
Yeah.
America, so, you did work in Mexico. So tell
It
us
took
how
us
that.
9 months, 9 months to wrap up. So uh, it's actually in 2024 Jan we decided. So I immediately we flew to Mexico where our main customers were. We went and met all of them and said, "Listen, we're thinking of shutting the business. Please don't give us any more orders." We already had 6 month order booking on hands, which we had taken more than six. I'll say about 8 months of order bookings. So we'll complete all your orders and then we'll wrap up the business. So don't give us any more orders. And they were really shocked, but we were so clear. And then we just spent the next 8 months executing and slowly also releasing employees, making sure they got placed. It was quite an emotional upheaval actually after 32 years, you know.
So, Aarti, I'm very curious, when you do something for that long,
Yes.
uh, tell me, it's almost like your baby, right? So, when you shut down, in your minds, for you and your brother, did it seem like, why don't we sell this business? It's a great brand. You have so much going for you, so much goodwill. You have customers. Why was, I've been trying to understand why you didn't sell the business.
So there were many factors. I think the main factor was that we had over these years built such a deep relationship with our buyers, with our customers, that they said, when we went to meet them, we actually told them that, listen, we have some buyers in hand and we are happy to bring them on board and use the 1 year to hand over. And they were like, we trust you guys, we won't be able to trust anyone else, so it will be like working with somebody new. So only if you guys stay on board and be there for all the meetings. And that was something I was clear that I wanted to make a clean cut. Now I wanted to move on into a new area of my life. I you know so that would so the customers were, and we still had buyers for our business who said that, we are happy to take it, we buy it over and make a go for it. Never mind if your customers, you introduce us and we're sure we'll be able to run it. And both my brother and me felt, no, these guys are buying, keeping our performance in mind and the business at what level it is now. What if it becomes less than half or quarter for them? There was a downside because we had already spoken to our customers and most of them said that we are not sure, we would might reduce the business down to 10% and only if they perform. So suddenly from a uh, huge figure they would come down and it would not be sustainable for them, or it would be a shock because they were paying us a good price. And both of us felt that we don't need the money, we've done enough, let's be ethical, let's sleep well. We don't want to just pass it on to somebody who would not get the same response, because there was a relationship, in many businesses like ours, it's a relationship of trust.
Yeah.
And that's where we understood that the buyers would not sustain, give the same business to whoever bought our business. So it would, we just decided, no, let's make a clean break.
Aarti, this is such a refreshing take on what anybody would do, and I don't even know how, for people who are watching, this must be like a breath of fresh air that you and your brother, as co-founders, took this path, the harder path, to let go of the profits to maintain the trust, and even at the cost of your employees who were being let go. But you said you waited till they got placed. And I
Absolutely.
have come to the Karmatex office when we had a meeting, and I know that you've had people for the longest working with you.
Yes, absolutely. Oh, they were like, it was a family. We ran it like a family. It was not, I mean, of course, we were doing professional, proper, good work, but the employees were our family. And they felt that. So there was a lot of rona dhona in the office. Shutting down was not easy. A lot of them uh, were really sad to leave, but fortunately, I'll say 90% of them have been well placed. We've managed to get them, and some on their own steam, get better jobs or good jobs.
So, Arti, you're someone who's extremely thoughtful, very, very planful. So, Maina, the idea you're saying from how it moved from being an individual activity of teaching and maybe some consulting to becoming this arts collective. So, you want to tell us what
Sure.
happened to make Maina and why Maina? So, maybe you want to tell us the brand story a little
The
bit.
story. So, in September of 24, when we were letting go of the last couple of employees, I was sitting in this empty office with my brother and saying, what am I going to do now? I want to start this school, but should I open a huge school, a small school? And he was like, just go for it. Um, you know, and I thought, now if I don't go for it, it's a never. So I had
Yeah.
to just plunge into it. So I did zero market research. I did not ask anybody anything and just said, I'm doing it. So all I did was I called up these couple of friends who are now so I called up my Sonal Dave, who is my co-founder, like co-founder, because she's a very dear friend. She just retired from HSBC Bank. And it was the perfect moment for me to catch her and said, would you join me in this venture? And I had Milind Singh, who I learned music from also, who's a young boy, but very, very proficient in music and very learned. And I said, will you be my right hand when it comes to the music? Because we actually started with the idea of spreading music because that's close to my heart. But as soon as we started looking for names and we started talking to people, we are starting the school and started designing the place and thinking of classrooms, people said, don't just do music, do dance, because dance also gives happiness. Do drama. Drama is also a form of expression. So we said, okay, let's get into performing arts. So it's just by speaking to a few family members, and then we said, okay, let's make it into a performing arts academy. And then things just happened. The universe literally made things happen. That we were looking for names for over a month. Every name we thought of was registered already. We just couldn't find a name which we could register, and we were like, "This is everything's booked." And then we were trying to find names which were related to the performing arts, to dance or music, or to do with notes. And then my children said, why don't you look at birds instead? Just think of trees or birds. And we said, why didn't we think of MYNA? And we looked up and MYNA was available. And
Ah,
then we started coming out, we researched on the MYNA, and the MYNA is a bird which sings, it mimics,
yes.
and it's all over the place. So we said it's just the right kind of thing to show the performing arts. And मैना also in Urdu is like आपका कहने का क्या मैना है? It means meaning. So what's the meaning of? So we thought it had a double meaning, saying that, okay, what's the meaning of your life? What are you doing with your life? And how do you seek your happiness? So we thought it was the perfect name. And so again, without research, we went ahead and just decided that's it. This is our name, and we chose colors. And so we never went by any kind of history, or we didn't look at other academies. We said, let's just create a space of happiness. So that's how it's happened.
I'm so fascinated because you come from an MBA background, Tata's, you've done this, work with 32 years with your customers, to suddenly, you were trusting your instincts completely with people, you were trusting your. So is it about lived experience at that point in time and your passion which was guiding you, your intuition that was guiding you?
So I think a huge factor is that this is a not for profit, you see, and that we just decided, my husband and I created a foundation and we said, let's just support this. Because for me, I said, doing charity is one thing, but creating something which will give happiness, and if we fund that, because finding funding for something like this is hard.
Yeah.
So if we can do that, then I don't need to do any research. I'm so sure, I could just feel it in my gut that this has to work. There's no way that it can't work. And so I know that's what I said, that I did no research and I'm being an MBA and everything. If people do ask me, everyone who comes to, who did you and how did you choose the colors or how did you choose the brand? I was like, nothing. We just did it. It's just come from within. And as I told you, the universe made it happen. Things just fell into place.
You are a strong finance person, Arti. And how did you work out the math for this? You've always had a strong nose for numbers, how did you think? I know it's a non-profit, but still you have to think viability. You have to think, who am I targeting to this? What is the right price for a performance or an event?
For that, we had to do a lot of asking around, a lot of research. And frankly speaking, there is very little money in it, you know. And my heart goes out to all the artists because I learn music. I've started learning dance now. I'm in a lot of the classes. Um, the teachers are super accomplished, fabulous performers, teachers. They put in hard work, hours, many, many hours a day rehearsing. And it's not like in sports or something. I suppose even there are many sportsmen who work hard but don't make it. But here, these are performing musicians. But the art, some of the arts, unless you become a brand, which is very few, or if in Bollywood or something, but when it comes to classical music, there isn't much money. So when I see the artists who are so accomplished and who have worked so hard for it, put their lives into that, they barely make money. It's okay. I think the academy will become self sufficient over a period of a couple of years. I think we did do the math. I give myself 2 to 3 years for it to start breaking even and making money and self sustain itself. Because then
Yeah,
we will introduce the outreach program where we will
correct.
be able to kind of fund that and not fund the academy. So I'm
Yeah.
giving myself 2 years to move into my outreach program.
And how does somebody discover MYNA?
That's been just now, it's been a lot of you know Instagram. Of course, we realized social media, none of us knew much about social media. We've had to learn a lot, uh, because it's been word of mouth a lot, because it's an offline class. It's an in-person class, place where we want to create a community. We want people to not look at their phone for a few hours. We want them
Hmm.
to look at each other, see expression, talk, gel with each other. So I think uh, it's only a matter of time when there will be a lot of community building.
And
And
you have a
people,
great space. You have a great
yes,
space.
the
You
spaces.
also have, so just like how do people discover you, as in from the patrons, how do artists discover you? Let's say there is a classical singer, uh, I mean, I might send her a video of our conversation and say, why don't you get in touch with the MYNA founders and have a conversation? So how can you help that?
it We are absolutely open to receiving any kind of artist, and it's been happening. People see us on Instagram. We've been doing regular workshops. Almost every weekend we have a workshop, and we've had, like, suppose we have a dancer coming in. We had like Sanjukta Wag do a workshop. There were three other dancers who came because they wanted to come for her workshop. And
Um,
then we after that we have had Sujata Ramnathan's workshop, because she came for that workshop and she said, listen, even I'm a Bharatnatyam dancer, I'm a performer, I went for her performances. So it's been wonderful the way we've been just connecting with musicians, dancers, performers, actors, actresses. It's fabulous.
You also have a recording studio. So
Yes.
there, do you also help the artists with front-ending their work or helping them find someone who can promote them?
At the moment, we're very new, so we've done very little recording. We've been doing more like our own in-house recording for our teachers, if they need
Okay.
it for class, or if they need it to put it out on Instagram, or they want to put out some music. So because we still, it's quite expensive to employ an engineer or a sound engineer to kind of handle that. So we've been doing it very basic stuff in house. Again, the moment I think we get a little more settled in terms of our student base and the finances, and it becomes more self-sustaining, I think the recording studio will then be more useful. At the moment, it's just being used for in-house purposes.
Also, there are dedicated schools which teach music,
Yes.
theater. So have you had any such partnerships planned or executed already to
So
collaborate?
we've met up with with a couple of them. We realize that we are still too new and don't have a reputation or a, we need to first create our own brand before they would be willing to collaborate with us. So there were a couple willing to collaborate with us, but we were not comfortable because we said unless we understand our student base, the needs, it's not something that I'm going to push until I'm very settled and I'm confident that the teachers in my academy are comfortable with it.
Yeah. Also, for example, there are schools and performers, theater artists, or groups outside of Mumbai for whom performing at an NCPA or the Nita Ambani Center, these are things which are a little maybe out of their league. So, is this something which can create a bridge of having a
Sure.
fabulous space? Because I've been to your space, so I know it's fabulous. It's really world class. But and I think it's also in a, it's like for me, it gave me a very Prithvi vibe.
So, I'm happy you're asking me this because we've actually been contacted by people who are from out of town, performers, saying we're coming to Mumbai and we're performing here. Can we also come and perform? So we do have some planned in October and November where there
Okay.
are outstation artists coming in. And of course, once we build a better base in terms financially and everything, we will start inviting them also and do
Yeah.
master workshops. We do plan to do, workshops like master classes. So where you have a very senior artist coming in from out of town and we'll make it like they will stay in Mumbai, we will host them and for 2 or 3 days do intensive morning to evening classes for a batch of
Yeah.
students, you know.
Also, at some time, do you see yourself going hybrid, doing some of the things online for international students?
We've been requested many times, but I personally feel that the kind of feeling that you can get when you have, because it's all about emotions and about sharing. I cannot, it's an intangible thing that I'm trying to. When I sit with my gurus, for example, and I'm sitting and singing, there is an emotion that passes from one to the other, apart from the learning. That there is a higher level of like a meditation, which I find very hard. I mean, yes, if it's necessary, but there are many people doing online classes. But if I am trying to imbibe a sense of happiness or a connection, let me put it as a connection, when it comes to music or even dance, the way when you're observing somebody standing next to you and correcting you, doing it online is just not the same. So we may have to do that in the future if we have some students who move and want to still be in touch. But at this point of time, we're still keeping it as a in person. And I know in the future I'll have to think of an online if I want to spread it to many more people. But that's my personal thing that I feel that there is much more exchanged in a personal class.
So, where do you see MYNA? And that's my last question. Where do you see MYNA 3 years down the line, 5 years down the line, Arti?
So I'm really keen that 3 years, I'll say 5 years, 5 years down the line, for sure we would have implemented our outreach program where we want to go out into the community to the I'll say lesser privileged people who will not be able to afford the kind of fees that we, and have our teachers go out and teach them. And if we find somebody super talented, bring them into the academy and sponsor them, and also continue doing, like, I want to go to old people's homes, to all kind of things where we spread happiness, where we make them sing, we perform for them. I'd love it if our students and teachers went and performed regularly at various places. And I would like to multiply this place into many more, if I
Beautiful.
can, so that there we have learning centers. I mean, initially maybe all over Mumbai and then move on into all parts of India. But I
Right.
do think that that in person, to create a space where a person can come and just be themselves and not be with their phone and enjoy and exchange
Yeah.
feelings, is what we want in the long run.
And now all the roles, thank you. Thank you for that. I did say it was the last question, but I'm tempted to ask you that you are now three co-founders?
So we are not three co-founders actually. Sonal and I are the co-founders.
Okay.
We have Shirley who joined us, and of course Milind. So we just call ourselves the core team. We don't even
Okay.
really use the words founder anymore. I do introduce myself as the founder when I have to speak to someone, just if I want an opening with them, or
Right.
but otherwise we just call ourselves the core team. And it's been a wonderful journey, and I'm so sure that MYNA is going to just fly really high.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So all of you who've watched Aarti, people in Bombay can come and visit anytime, and you have these
They're more
events
than welcome,
happening
more than
on
welcome.
Saturday and Sunday mostly, and
Yes,
classes through the week also, right?
and I'm always there, so most of the day and weekends for sure. So everyone's welcome to come. Just come and be there and enjoy the space.
This is such a happy, joyous conversation, and already my head is buzzing with how MYNA can multiply in different
We'll
cities.
take your help. I'll definitely take your help on that, Deepa.
Awesome. I'm delighted. And as someone who really supports art and music, I mean, I know this is not performing arts, but even as a space, the kind of artworks you have in your place, it's a great place to do a showing of visual artists as well. And maybe that's also something for you to
Something we
think
could
of.
do. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
It's a great place for a museum or art gallery. It's got that vibe for sure.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, Aarti. Such a lovely conversation this has been. It only, for all of you guys watching, please go and follow MYNA. Look at the work. There's very good Instagram content, and the workshops are really well curated. The performances are outstanding. So I strongly, strongly recommend you put it on your calendar in the coming weeks and the months as well. So thank you. Thank you, Aarti.
Thank you so much. Lovely talking to you.